I love canisters. I love the fact that it gets underneath my furniture and I can use it on the stairs. When you're selecting a vacuum, there's a lot of questions that you need to ask yourself. How big is the space that you're cleaning? How big is your house? Do you have wall-to-wall carpeting? Do you have stairs? Is it a multi-level house? If you have wall-to-wall carpeting, an upright vacuum is probably the best choice for you. They're heavier and they're able to suck up the dirt out of your carpet. They store pretty well in a closet, whereas a canister is a little bit clunkier. It's two pieces. The cons of uprights are that they're super heavy. So if you have multi-levels in your home and you want to carry them up, it might be kind of cumbersome. Also on stairs, if you're cleaning your stairs with an upright, they can be a little bit tipsy and awkward. Canister vacuum is good for carpets, but it's really good for bare floors because you could turn the brush roll off, or it may have another nozzle that you can use just for bare floors so that the debris isn't getting kicked up. They're really good for multi-level homes because you're able to carry the wand and nozzle with the motor, and you can sort of balance the weight as you're going up the stairs. And they're really good for stairs too because they're not as awkward as uprights for cleaning the stairs. You can kind of rest the motor on, the landing and clean your stairs. Another positive with canisters, though, is that you're able to get underneath furniture with the wand and the nozzle. The difficulties with canisters is that some people don't like to lug around the motor, and it's also difficult to store them because you're storing it in two pieces and it's not compact. Stick vacuums are becoming a lot more powerful now, so certainly if you have a smaller living space with not a lot of carpeting, you could get away with just a stick vac. If you have a larger space with carpeting, you may have a canister and upright at home, and you could use a stick vac as your secondary tool for in-between cleanings or whatever you need it for. Corded obviously is going to be more like an upright or a canister where you're going to have to map your outlets in order to get your power. With a cordless, you don't have to do that. There's a battery that's going to be charged, but you really have to be mindful of the space that you're going to clean, because if it's a large space and if you're going to use a higher power on your vacuum, you're only going to get about 10 or 15 minutes out of that battery. With a cordless stick vac, just know that you're paying for that cordless feature, and you're paying as much as you would for an upright or a canister, but you're not getting the deep cleaning performance that you would for those vacuums. You could spend $200 to $300 and get a really good vacuum that performs just as well as a vacuum that's $1,000. For a bag vacuum, you're going to have to go out, you're going to have to buy the bags and make sure you have the right size bag for the vacuum. For bagless vacuums, it's a bin that you're just going to remove and dump out all of the debris. But the thing with that is that once you're dumping out the debris, the dust or dirt can fly up in the air, and if you have any kind of breathing issues, you might want to consider using a bag where it's sort of like hands off. We recommend that you buy a vacuum that has a HEPA filter. However, the vacuum has to be sealed, so it's not just the HEPA filter that's going to, help prevent those particles from getting into the air. You want to make sure the whole vacuum is sealed and not spewing things out in other areas. That's why our tests are great, because we're testing the vacuum as a whole, not just the filter. So we do all of these tests on vacuums so that you can make the best educated choice of which vacuum is best for your home.